Alright everyone, welcome back to another whiteboard session with Clash. It has been some time, but it is going to be a fun one today. We're going to talk about high tenacity nest. If you haven't seen this slide, it's up in the Discord for the Scoundrel server. Very, very useful, very effective, but my favorite thing is getting to add things to this list of things that Nest can beat. And today we're going to go over the newest of the new, and that of course is Padme. I'm going to show you 3 different versions of the Padme Galactic Republic group and how Kira, Hoda, and Nest can take them on. This is actually courtesy of one of my shard mates. It's not as high of a tenacity nest as I have, but he has at least 140%. We're going to go into 3 specific areas that I think are important for you to know about just this comp in general and how it does against the Padme lead Galactic Republic. So I've started this content right here. You can see it's going against the C3PO version. This one is honestly probably the trickiest to accomplish from a Nest perspective because C3PO has such high potency, and of course the debuff that he applies keeps her from being able to do all the countering, but that's not going to stop her from being able to restore her protection, because if you'll notice right here, she's at 0 protection, and when you see her attack there, you see that 75,000 plus health right there. That's all going into protection. And if you're wondering how the heck is that possible, that's the first point we're going to talk about right now. The first thing you need to know, and this is against anything, not just Padme lead, is that the bonus protection she gets is accounted for when she gets the stacking health steal. So even though she's not countering and she's not getting the quote health steal from that, she is actually getting the health steal from all of those buffs being removed over and over and over. And when she does crit, which if you're selective in your Padme group, it will take all of that into account, and so you're automatically going to be healing for generally your full protection, which is really nice. So first point to know, write that one down if you didn't know that one before. I'm going to go ahead and show you how this one plays out. Again, you have to be a little bit judicious about where you're applying her attacks, because of course she can't crit through the bonus protection all the time. We'll come back to that in a minute, but overall, as long as you're selective on where you're attacking and getting them in between their turns, you should be just fine. The next version we're going to look at is with Grandmaster Yoda, and I think a lot of people get nervous about Grandmaster Yoda because they're usually very worried that he is going to, one-shot them, and I can say I understand that. He does hit really hard. He doesn't hit as hard though under a Padme lead, which is nice. So you can kind of take that a little bit to heart. If he's under a Revan or even on his own with the critical damage up, that can be a problem. But he really isn't too much of a deal. In fact, he was probably one of the easiest ones to beat out of all 3 of these comps. But the next point I want to show to you is this. You just notice this double attack here. This group benefits from double attack, mass assist from Padme and GK, but the important thing to remember, and of course they have courage, and courage can hit for multiple times, but versus Padme, and really to a degree versus anything, the courage is specific to Padme. Any multi-attack that happens to Nest, it is really viewed as separate attacks. So when you think about that, each one of those individual attacks is going to apply to her extra bonus protection. So you can mass attack, you can courage her all day, you can do a triple whirlwind attack from snips. It really isn't going to matter too much because again, they're all viewed as separate attacks, and none of them are large enough to bust through her entire health pool. So that is something that I think is really important to know. Again, this one was probably the easiest. I think I had like 2.5 minutes left whenever it was all over. I'll show you kind of how it works here, but again, it's nothing that was too crazy. You just kind of watch where you're going, look at the targets, and then by the end, I mean, it was pretty much, again, Nest doing her thing. She can hit hard, and by the time all those buffs are out of the way, she's hitting for 80k on GK. All right, last version, and then this one is with, of course, Barriss. I think this is one that people are going to probably use mostly on defense from what I've heard from some of the other experts in the Galactic Republic. And again, this one probably wasn't as hard as C-3PO for sure, and mainly because the assists, or I'm sorry, the counterattacks that Nest does were never really stopped, and of course Barriss hits like a wet noodle. But I do want to point out one thing right here. You notice that she had protection up, or Padme did, and yet it was still a crit, and I want to tell you why that is. And this is the third thing you need to know about Nest whenever she is attacking. If the damage she does would overcompensate or damage through the protection, the bonus protection or the protection up buff that you see on the Padme group or anyone else, it still will crit, right? And that crit, of course, is really important to her regaining her protection and everything else. So even if they don't have, even if they have bonus protection, a little of it, by the time you get halfway through this fight, she will still crit through that if it's just a little bit. And so that's something to take account whenever you're looking at, your target prioritization. I'm gonna let this footage run. It was pretty straightforward. There wasn't anything too crazy. You do have to be careful a little bit with GK because with Anakin, he can get a little bit crazy with his damage, but for the most part, something everyone can do, and it doesn't require more than 140% tenacity on your Nest. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again later.